Hello, everybody. Good morning. Happy Saturday morning. Today, I have another edition of Mid-City TV, and I'm really excited for my guest today. His name is Fabricio Vanden Broeck, and he is an artist living in Merida from Mexico City. And I went and visited his gallery. Maybe some of you have as well. It's called La Galeria. They have a great event on Wednesday nights with Gina Osorno, a jazz event, kind of a black and white night where you can go and listen to jazz and hang out at the Galleria, La Galeria, with a wine. It's a really pleasant night. So I went maybe about a month ago, and that was the first introduction that I had to Fabricio's work, and I was floored. His work is phenomenal, and so since then I've wanted to invite him on to a live and introduce him to anybody who might not know him here on Mid-City, any of you you followers on Mid-City, and definitely encourage you to get to know some of his work. So I'm going to invite him on here.
Hi.
Fabricio, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well out on my balcony again on a Saturday morning.
Looks cool.
My usual spot.
Fantastic. Great. Yes. Great morning in Merida now.
Yeah, it's warm. It's warm this morning, but it's been warm the last week or so, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, so thank you so much for coming on with us today. I'm excited, like I told my audience today, I'm excited to have you on here.
Thank you too.
I mean, yes.
Glad to be here with you, sharing a little bit of whatever happens here at the Galeria.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And also one thing I didn't note in the introduction, I have the comments on. So if anybody wants to chime in and ask a question, go right ahead. So I can see your comments pop on as well. So Fabricio, tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce us first to all the Mid-City followers here.
Okay, well, I was born in Mexico from European parents, basically. And I studied industrial design in Mexico, then went to Switzerland for a master's degree in art. And when I came back to Mexico in the 80s, I started working as an illustrator for the children books industry a little bit. And it was really the beginning of it here in Mexico. It was tough, really uphill or whatever. But with the time, it became a solid industry. And basically, well, it has developed like in any other country. But somewhere around the beginning of the 90s, I was invited to work in a newspaper as an illustrator for the newspapers or whatever. And it was all related to politics and economics or whatever, comments, visual comments. And at the beginning, it wasn't at all my cup of tea or whatever. I mean, I wasn't even interested in politics for whatever reason, you know. And I doubted that I could do something really good or whatever, so I refused a couple of times. But people at the newspapers, the name is Reforma, it's a big newspaper now, but at the time it was really the newest thing with design philosophy, with young people working on it or whatever. Yeah. And they really insisted, and okay, they convinced me, and I started working, and it became really successful. We won several prizes all over. In the world and in the US or whatever, because of the illustrations. And at the time, I started working on personal stuff too, a little more serious, personal, whatever, call it art, if right. You will. And I kind of developed this kind of, direction towards black and white, which is something that just behind me, you can
see in La Galeria. Right.
I love black and white because it delivers an idea without any, extra whatever, no decoration, no whatever. It is the idea. And for me, when you try to deliver something personal or whatever, it has to be in black and white. Color it goes well with the children's book, and of course, it's wonderful to see colors or whatever. But it kind of softens whatever you want to say, and I think art is also something about you saying something.
Sure.
And,
And
well, I started that working on personal stuff and in the newspapers for a while in the 90s, and it evolved until, the early, I don't know, 2008. Journalism changed, and the illustration wasn't required anymore as it used to be because of whatever, the Twin Towers, what happened. And
right.
photograph took over, and photographs took over the newspapers in general. No?
Right.
And we can add to that the fact that internet has changed a little bit the situation. So
Absolutely.
newspapers not as cool, not as interesting as it used to be, I think.
Right.
Well, with Monica, my wife, we started a publishing house, a small publishing house. We did things for children, poetry, or whatever. I'm the art director and also the illustrator or whatever, and Monica is the editor. And we started that little publishing house, El Dragón Rojo, which worked pretty well until the kind of the crisis, the COVID or whatever. And we, for a while, living in Mexico City, we decided that after a sabbatical year in France, we would set ourselves here in Merida because we really liked it. So we came here in Merida, and we started a project that we had in mind for a while, which is it's about the Galeria, the gallery.
Right.
We wanted to do a gallery and work on more personal things and projects oriented to conservation, animal conservation, or whatever. That's part of what interests us.
Right.
And here we are.
And yeah, you brought us up to present day. Yes, I have the illustrations, and we'll get to that in a minute, of the animals in La Galeria. Is a really beautiful project. But before we get to that, let's kind of go back a little bit more. So when you came over and you started getting into illustration, why is it? What was it about illustration that called your attention? Why did you want to get into illustration?
Because I felt well, in the first place, I worked with Etienne de Lesser in Switzerland. I was studying, but at the time somebody suggested, because I was interested in images and illustration, somebody suggested me to go and check with Etienne de Lesser. He's one of the biggest illustrators of the 70s, or whatever. He worked with the Pushpin Studios in New York, Milton Glaser, big, tough guys. And I worked for him for about 6 months, and I love the stuff. First of all, I love books from, since I was very little, etc. It was my mother was French, and, French culture has an emphasis in literature, reading or whatever. So I love books in the first place, and the idea of interacting with the text as an illustrator, as an image maker, was a very interesting thing for me. I was, really interested in that because you can give it a personal touch. You can put on all your personal interpretation of the story or whatever. So that's what started me. And I came back to Mexico thinking it was the same thing as Switzerland.
And when you were in Switzerland, were you working? Was it mostly children's books, or was it across?
No, I was in school doing my master's degree.
Okay.
That's what I was doing because I studied design. I studied design in Mexico City, and then went to Switzerland to study my master's degree. And in the meantime, I started work. Well, it didn't take much of my time, the master's degree, so I had time to, look around or whatever. So I hit at the door of Etienne de Lesser, this very famous illustrator. And that's how I discovered the illustration and book work around, images and stuff like that. And I love that thing. But when I came back to Mexico, it wasn't exactly the same thing because in Mexico everything was kind of starting or whatever, you know.
Right, right.
Mexican industry was still importing, illustrations from somewhere else or whatever, or the whole product, and not really investing in self-production or whatever. So it was a little bit difficult, but from one thing to another, we went on, and it became an interesting trend, you know.
Yeah, and so did you first start with children's books? Like when you came back to Mexico, you first
Exactly.
started with
I
children's
started
books?
with children books for a while, about, I don't know, 6 years or so. And after that came that proposition from Reforma, the
Before,
newspaper was
before
first
we do that,
picking
I
up.
want to show them. I want to show the people here some of the illustrations from children's books, so that
Okay.
they can get an idea. If they haven't seen them, you could get an idea. I mean, they're just fascinating. And
Yeah.
when I went to your gallery a month ago, you were gracious enough to give me one of these books that has a lot of the illustrations. That's beautifully written as well about the project and the different illustrations that you have. But you can kind of see at the gallery, they can get this book and see lots of beautiful illustrations that I think comes from your publishing house,
And
correct?
this one, but it's from a book called The Mouse Bride, published by Random House in the U.S. The Mouse
Right.
Bride, based
Right.
on a Mayan tale, you know.
Right. Let's see. I also have some other ones here. Let me see if I can get the next ones. Oh, hold on. I want to show a couple more. Hold on. So, and also you have worked, or your works have been in the New York Times. You've also done works all over the world, correct?
Yeah, exactly. In Italy, in Spain, in France, a little bit. You know, I worked from several newspapers for a while, and then books were published, yeah, all over in Japan or whatever. You know.
Right, right. Hold on. Let me get this back up. Little technical difficulties here. Hold on just a second. There we go. Yeah. Okay, here we go. So yeah, just to give an idea, this is Letras Libres, which is its own publication, correct?
Yeah, Letras Libres is a project that I started with from the beginning. When I was, let's say, the art director of the magazine for a while. It's a cultural magazine with some angle related to politics, but basically a cultural magazine. The main cultural magazine, I believe, in Mexico, with Nexus, another one magazine, very good one too. And I did, well. This is a cover that I did for Letras Libres. It's related to the death of Jean Paul II, and what was the way that the church was going to take or whatever. No, that's a little bit the idea of the cover of the magazine. I also worked for Letras Libres for a while.
Right, with different illustrations.
Yeah.
Here's an illustration from the book I just showed. I snapped a picture of one of the favorites there.
Yeah.
This is actually a political illustration.
Yeah, economical and political one, published in Nexus, that magazine.
So tell us a little bit also about the political illustrations and how it is that you got into those.
Well, I was invited by people at the Reforma. Reforma was just building up, just at the beginning, and I knew some people that came around and see me. I was at the time doing illustrations for children's book, and the approach to a children's books might take you around 6 months to complete. You know. And you work as an art, you work as a director, a film director. You choose your colors, you choose your characters or whatever, and you develop a story, and it has to be consistent from beginning to end or whatever. That's the approach to
Sure. Yeah.
the movie approach kind of thing. And all of a sudden, they came to me from the Reforma and they say, "Do you want to? We invite you to work with the Reforma, the newspaper, whatever, etc. But the approach was very different. The approach in newspapers, it's from one day to the other. You have to react pretty quickly, and sometimes news come up at night, and you have to deliver early in the morning, or even, I don't know, 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever. So that kind of approach was very different from the one I was into at the time. So I was kind of scared. I said, I don't think I can do it. Yes, you can, and you convinced me. They came a couple of times. They convinced me, and I really enjoyed discovering that. Yeah, basically, I had some ideas approach. I mean, it's like I can synthesize well an idea. I realized that pretty quickly, and it was cool to work very rapidly. Very quick because. It's a different approach, and the idea of finishing something pretty quickly was very, enthusiastic. So I decided to give it a shot, and I gave it a shot, and it became kind of the main of the work.
It was very successful. So,
Yeah, exactly.
one question about so the political cartoons or drawings. Did you have your own political opinion, or did you lean one way or the other, or was it something more of the editorial wanted this particular picture? How did that come about?
Thanks God, they don't tell you what to do, which is great. So you decide what you want to do. It has to do. It's a comment. It has to be witty. From my point of view, it has to say something. It has to say it very strongly, because in a newspaper, people just turn pages like that, and so if you want to grab their attention, you have to be tough. Give it a big shot, etc. So that was something that I developed on my own. Nobody told me what to do, but and I always thought that your comment had to be, like. Something that surprises you. That's a little bit the idea. I always wanted to surprise, to do things that seemed like absurd at the time, or whatever. But they something to grab your attention.
Right.
With the idea behind, you have to have a synthesis of whatever. It has to do with the text. You have to read the text, and then your own synthesis.
Right.
Then put that blow in, and that's more or less what I try to do. And discovered I was really comfortable with doing that, so I continued doing that. And then I was invited to work a little bit with the New York Times. I did a couple of gigs. It's a bit tough with the New York Times because they control you much more.
Right, I would imagine. Yeah.
You have to go there. You have to submit sketches, previous sketches, etc. It takes you like a week, and it's kind of stressing because they want you to be there all the time, although you're in Mexico, whatever.
Right. Oh, right.
So it's tougher than it used to be in Mexico. In Mexico, everybody, you did your own thing. Also, I have to say the team was a very young. We were all very young at the time. So there was a different approach, not patronizing or whatever around. You did whatever you thought was best, and nobody told you anything. Fortunately, everything worked really well, and we got some prizes from the Society of Newspapers Design, by the way. And prizes. We won prizes for like 7 years on the row, or whatever.
Incredible.
It was a good experience, and that drove me to work on more personal approaches, which is more or less what I did in the newspaper by the fact. So I worked in a more personal thing and oriented more towards painting and now sculpture, metal.
Right. Well, let's hold on just a second. So in this particular illustration, so it obviously looks like the devaluation of the peso.
Exactly, that's what it is, and how that can hit the fan, to say the least. And yeah.
And this guy is like running away from it. This guy's trying to hold it up, and he's just throwing down.
the idea is surprise, surprise, where it's out of reach. We can't do anything now. That's more or less
Right.
the idea.
It's rolling. It's on the roll.
Exactly, and there's not much to do now.
Right, exactly.
It could have been worked out before, but at this point, I think it's kind of complicated. That's more or less the idea.
Right. Well, here I want to show a couple other ones as well. Let's see. Let's go some of the other political ones so people can get an idea of some of the other ones here. Let's see. Okay, so what about this one?
This one I don't quite remember. It's a little bit about the contrast between the suit that everybody can see and
Right.
the guy with the two guns, the cowboy.
Oh yeah, here's the gun.
So it's kind of politics in Mexico, no? Sometimes
Right.
you see the suit, but under the suit there's something else, That's
Right. Yeah. Let's see. We also have the next one here. Let's see. Let's see if we have. I'm not sure why it's not going here. Let's see. We have this one as well, which is really cool. Yeah, hold on just a second. Yeah, this one, which I also think is a great one for impact about the global warming. Let me see if I can bring it up. Where is it? Ay, Dios mío. I get all these my pictures all set up and then they disappear on me here, but there it is. Okay. So this one I thought was really beautiful too. So can you explain to us a little bit about this one?
Well, it has to do with the fact that the world belongs to the youth sometimes, and somehow. I mean, so the global warming responsibility of the earth or whatever it is becoming, it might very well be the responsibility of future generations and not necessarily from the first world. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe the answers to much of our problems, surprisingly, could come from the third world.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about what some of your projects are now. So you're illustrating. Are you still illustrating now?
Yes, a little less, but yes, of course, I'm always illustrating. Now, because of the pandemic and whatever, because of the pandemic, that activity in the world has come down a little bit. It's not really working as it used to for the time being. It might come back or whatever. But my main project now is the Galeria and working on metal and exploring different media for expression and whatever. Look, I mean, more of an artistic approach, personal approach to whatever I do. So it has to do, might have to do with books, personal books or whatever, but it also has to do with painting and exploring different things, even color, as I was telling you, maybe. It's time to go back to color, but for a different purpose. And on the other hand, working with sculptures, different materials, I'm interested in doing so. For example, yeah, exactly what you're looking at now, it's all metal work. I mean, it's plasma, worked around in plasma. This is more of a painting. This is more of metal work.
Right. And this is what you can see when you go to the La Galeria.
Cutouts in metal, done with plasma.
Right. And here are the black and white, some of the black and white pieces that you were talking about that are spectacular. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And so, what do you have a certain theme of the black and whites that you have now in the gallery?
Not necessarily. No. I don't have any special theme or whatever. I just go around with what I think, what I feel, or whatever. So some are more. Let's say this one's related with the Coyolxauhqui. It's an image from the ancient Mexicans. related to the women that I, well, a goddess that is in pieces or whatever. And it has to do with, and it has been reinterpreted, have reinterpreted, relating it with what happens in Mexico with women that are killed and whatever, that's more
Right.
what
The
is.
femicide. Right. Uh, and let's see. There's another one I also have in here that I really enjoy. One of. Oh, let
Yeah.
me see. Find it. There it is. Yeah. This one
Well,
too. You do a lot of circular.
yeah, I love
Decors.
spirals, circles, basic figures that I think are great, and you can check out in every culture around the world. There's always a presence of those basic forms and shapes and patterns or whatever. So I'm always exploring patterns, basic patterns, and see what they can bring. Like, for example, this is my own interpretation of the thinker of Rodin, you know.
Uh-huh. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about this project that I think is a really interesting project. So tell us a little bit about this one.
Well, it has to do with conservation. It's a series of 100 threatened animals, threatened because of their habitat or whatever, threatened of extinction or whatever, at different levels, evidently. But they're all Mexican animals, not necessarily Yucatec, from Yucatan or whatever, just from Mexico. And we share a lot of them with the US, for example, and Canada and Central America, whatever. But it's a series of 100 100 threatened animals in Mexico. And it's just a small part of the real thing, because the real thing, we have like 900, almost 1,000 animals that are at risk in Mexico. And so I made 100 images on a very different technique, which is a more Japanese oriented or influence or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is that selling each one of them, by selling each one of them, we can, contribute to the protection of the habitat of the jaguar here in the Yucatan Peninsula.
Right.
And a part of the sale, of course, goes to Pro Natura, which is a ONG related to conservation, particularly the jaguar
So
habitat, whatever.
when somebody goes into the Galeria and buys a piece, then part of that goes to this foundation, which helps to
30% goes to Pro Natura, that foundation, that
Uh-huh.
is oriented to protecting the jaguar, because the jaguar is on the top of the chain or whatever. So if you protect the habitat of the jaguar, necessarily you protect a lot of animals that go with that dynamic,
Right. Absolutely.
those dynamics. Yes.
So yeah, well, definitely, we'll go ahead and start to wrap things up for today.
Okay.
But would absolutely encourage everyone to go to La Galeria and meet Fabricio. I know in the next every Wednesday nights you all have jazz, the black and white evening with Gino Sorno, kind of a chance to get to know the Galeria, which is also a hotel boutique or a Airbnb.
Exactly. We have a couple of rooms, very nice rooms.
Yeah.
Each one with a different personality. You love it because it's really, really nice. And the idea is a little bit to leave the gallery. You stay here and you enjoy the gallery, and you're in an artistic ground, no?
Right, environment.
Surrounding. Excuse me, I didn't find the word at the time. Surroundings. And well, that's mainly the idea. So you can stay here, enjoy the art or whatever. It's a very peaceful place, and it's really nice. And well, we have that couple of things. And on Wednesday, yes, 7:30 on, we have the show with Gina Soto, a couple of hours. You have wine. You can drink
And,
wine.
and that's Wednesdays at 7.
No, 7:30 on.
7:30.
Yeah.
And it's on Calle 73. And what are the cross streets there?
No, it's Calle 64 and 73. Yes, exactly.
Okay. I knew 73 was in there. Calle 64 and 73. Okay.
Exactly. That's where we are.
Yeah.
And, well, come around.
Yes, absolutely. And and it will be, and it's open on a daily basis as well. You do have regular opening hours.
Yes, we have some opening hours, but basically we also take reservations. So Monica, my wife, she's the one that knows exactly, has all the indications. I can send you that in a while. But basically, there's always somebody here. And if you call on appointment or whatever, it's even better. I mean, to be sure that there's going to be somebody, etc.
Right, absolutely. And also, you can always check them out on Facebook or Instagram, La Galeria.
Exactly.
As well. And yes, also, if you want a little bit more about information about Fabricio Vanden Broeck, you can see on his website. You can go to fabriciovandenbroeck.com and check out his website there as well.
It's all written on little letters and without any space in between the names. Fabricio Vanden Broeck.
Yeah, there should be space, right?
There shouldn't be a space, and it's all small letters.
Right.
What do you call them?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The letters. No capitals. All on. That's what I mean.
The font, or maybe?
No. I mean when you put the name of the site or whatever, it's
all one. Yeah. The website.
The website is all one. No capitals.
No capitals. Yeah, exactly.
All small letters.
Mm-hmm.
How do you call that? Small letters.
Now I'm like, I think it's just small. What do we say? Minuscula, right?
Minuscula, exactly. Well,
letters and small letters. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The English teacher here is forgetting.
I feel better now that I see that you don't remember.
Yeah, I should know. But anyway, all right. Well, we'll go ahead and finish up. And thank you so much again. And enjoy your summer. And I really hope that I definitely encourage everybody who is watching to look up some of the work of Fabricio. It's absolutely stunning. And we hope to see you very much. All right. Have a great summer. And we'll see everybody around.
Absolutely. Have a great summer too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.